All right, let's write another opinion essay. This one is also from IELTS Academic 13. As usual, we need to understand the statement and instruction. Some people believe that nowadays we have too many choices. So it's about having too many choices. It's not about any specific areas like, I don't know, food or jobs or anything else. So it's general. We will choose what to write about ourselves. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? We've talked about this before. You can say you partially agree or agree to some extent, or completely agree or disagree. It's your choice. But in this one, I will choose both sides to mention both sides of the argument. So I largely agree. In the areas that we have too many choices, I will choose food and clothing. For the areas that we have limited choices, I choose education and healthcare. Again, you don't have to cover the limited choices. You can just say I agree or disagree and cover the first part. But I want to show you how it works if you mention both sides of the argument. Many choices and limited choices. Now it's time to write. The first thing to write, as usual, is the paraphrase. This is my paraphrase. It is believed that we are faced with an overwhelming number of choices these days. When you're faced with something, it means you have a lot to handle. In this case, too many choices. Overwhelming, too many. Now, I need to answer the question. I largely agree with this assertion. Assertion is something that people say is true, especially considering the vast selection of food options and the extensive variety of clothing available. Vast, extremely large or wide, extensive, covering a big area, in this case, many clothing options. I paraphrase the statement and briefly answer the question. All right, in my first body paragraph, I will cover food, and the second one, I will cover clothing, and the third one, I will cover the other side of the argument, limited choices, and in my conclusion, I will summarize all the main points and restate my opinion. So the first paragraph, many choices, I said food and clothing. In this one, I will cover food. First, there is an unprecedented array of choices regarding dietary preferences. This is my topic sentence. Unprecedented, something new that hasn't happened before. Array of, a big group or lots of different things. Dietary preferences, the kinds of food that people like to eat. Now I need to explain what I mean by that. Not too long ago, most people's food options were primarily limited to what was locally available or traditional to their culture. However, globalization has transformed our food landscape, and individuals can stroll through supermarkets or online marketplaces and encounter a staggering selection of ingredients, cuisines, and dietary regimen. Primarily, mainly, or mostly, transform to change and make different. Food landscape, the way food choices have changed. Stroll through, to walk and look casually at all the options. Encounter, to find many different choices. Staggering, shocking, or very, very big, like the number of options we have. Now, some examples can complete my paragraph. Whether one follows a vegan, keto, or Mediterranean diet, options abound to accommodate every taste. Abound to exist in large numbers. Accommodate, to provide for. All right, that's my first body paragraph. Now it's time to get to the second one and write about clothing. In the realm of clothing, the range of choices has similarly expanded. That's a good way to start the second paragraph, to write about clothing. Realm, an area where there are many options in this case. Now I need to explain what I mean by that. In the past, wardrobes were primarily shaped by local traditions, climate, and necessity. But today, shoppers can access many styles, colors, and materials catering to various tastes and preferences. Shaped by, to influence and create a lot of different choices. Necessity, something that is needed and required. Cater to provide what is needed or wanted. Now, what is the result of this? As a result, there is a wardrobe choice for every situation and individual style, such as casual wear, formal attire, or sustainable fashion. Formal attire, special clothing for special events like fancy clothes. Sustainable, something that can keep going without harming the earth, like eco-friendly options. Now, I want to mention the other side, limited choices, education and healthcare. You don't have to mention this part, but since I said I want to show how it works, if you want to cover both sides, I've added this part as well. Despite the proliferation of choices in various aspects of our lives, certain areas still present limited options where traditional methods remain the norm. Proliferation, a big increase in the number of, and norm is a usual or typical way. Now, two examples will complete my paragraph. Education is one such realm. Now I need to explain. While we have embraced e-learning and online courses, traditional face-to-face education in schools and colleges continues to be the primary mode of instruction. Embrace, to accept and adopt something. Primary mode, the most common way or method. Now, I want to mention healthcare. Similarly, traditional in-person visits to doctors and hospitals remain essential for medical assessments and treatments in healthcare. In person, if you do something or go somewhere in person, you do it or go there yourself. And medical assessments, when doctors check your health, that's called assessment. Now it's time to write the conclusion. I will start with, in conclusion, I will restate my opinion and summarize all the points. In conclusion, it is true that we are currently bombarded with many choices in different areas. That's my opinion. To be bombarded with means to receive many choices. To be specific, I need to mention those areas, particularly in our dietary preferences and clothing options. Now the other side. Nonetheless, traditional approaches remain irreplaceable and limited in certain areas, such as education and healthcare. Nonetheless, however, traditional approaches, the usual ways of doing things, and irreplaceable, impossible to substitute or replace. I wrote 281 words for this essay, and I organized it in 5 paragraphs. In my introduction, I simply paraphrased and answered the question briefly. In my first body paragraph, I covered food options. In the second one, I covered clothing options. In the third one, I mentioned the opposite side, limited options. And in my conclusion, I restated my opinion and summarized all the main points. In this slide, you can find some of the points that gave cohesion to my writing. You could pause, take a screenshot, and have a read. And in the next 4 slides, you'll find some of the words and phrases from my essay that you could also use in yours. All right, hope you found it useful. Have a nice day.